right in your mouth.
You hear the clap? I hear the claps. Give me the claps.
1 2 1 2.
Testing 1 2. Do the mic check 1 2 1 2.
Hey.
Yes, y'all. My
Yeah.
We know you got it. There you go.
Put some bass in my voice, man.
African Hannibal, are we live?
You need your phone?
African Hannibal says we're live.
Turn it off.
So, yep, put your phones on silent, and if you want to share what you need to share, you can share it now because we're up live, and I'm looking at the intro playing right now.
How do we share?
Once it's up, are you part of, show 'em,
Are
Esther,
you in the
ESP? All right,
Are you in the real discussion?
right on.
Hey, y'all still got to do something with my mic. That sound hollow.
Let me see. What do you mean you sound hollow?
Listen to me, man.
Stop playing Jazzy J. Move forward.
1 2. All right, there you go. There you go. I'm up in the house. Yo, come on,
I
man.
don't want Jazzy. Come on, I got Jazzy J on my show. I don't want Jazzy to look like a little guy.
Man, I'm
Jazzy look big.
a big old knuckle.
Getting what do you call that? A notification.
Yep. So
All
right
right.
now I've got the notification on my phone. I'm up and I'm playing it now live. And so I'm gonna kick it off right now. I'm gonna go while y'all get the technical situation situated. Right now, Facebook, we're live, and this is the real discussion with Rock Logic. And what's up with my man over here?
Gary D.
Gary D's in the building. And who's next to Gary D?
ESP.
That's right. I got my co-host in the building. And today, man, you don't even understand what's going on right now.
What's going on?
Okay, so what had happened was, Al Pizzaro, and I got the original DJ Jazzy J, and he made, we'll talk about that later.
Jay a legend.
You know what I mean? Jazzy J, Al Pizzaro, legend, right? Big in hip hop, Al. He did, Sure Shot Record Pool. The Record Pool, that was a Record Pool. Am I correct?
Sure.
All right, no doubt.
Sure, and VIP, baby.
Right, that's right. So this is, was that what it was? That was what it was, right?
VIP,
VIP.
baby.
He said VIP. So we're here right now, and it's starting to happen. And the conversation today is about the history of hip hop. That's what this is about, that we're talking about today. But I need to get some business out of the way real quick. Number one, Al, tell them about the Hip Hop Boulevard T-shirt right now that I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing it right now. Go ahead. Come on, man.
Look, for a long time, I was always asking myself, why is it that these guys like the P. Diddy's of the world and Jay-Z's of the world and all that stuff that go into clothing and go into this business and do not offer some of the people in hip-hop a deal, some kind of deal, any kind of deal. I mean, everybody that created this should be eating well.
Right.
And it never happened, never occurred. So I had this opportunity, and I said, let me see if I can do this and let it make sense. So I created this signature, we call it the signature collection, because you can't get the shirt from nobody. And each individual signs an agreement with Hip Hop Boulevard, and the agreement is real simple. We'll do this one shirt, and if somebody buys that shirt, orders it, we'll give you $5 per shirt the minute that somebody pays for it. Simple.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it difficult or anything like that. And whoever signs up, the same deal, regardless. And let's see what happens from there. But I want them to eat with me. If we're going to make some money, let's try to make some money together, because I think it's long overdue.
No doubt. And it was an incredible opportunity for me. So when Al sent me the contract, off the cuff, I was like, okay, I'm signing. And I went, I'm signing, right? And then it was like, okay, Al put up a post on Facebook and on the group that we're on. He's like, MC Sticky started it off. You know what I'm saying? He set it off. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we started. And now I have my shirt that I'm wearing right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm wearing the MC Sticky, and the signature's on my back. So it's actually a signature, my signature, on the back of the shirt, which makes it even more personal. You know what I'm saying? And then Esther, right, ESP is wearing, I saw ESP, she's wearing the MC Sticky Hype Man shirt, which is for the movie that's coming out, which is cool. But it was really sort of a big deal because I'm also on the advisory board for Hip Hop Boulevard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and just to continue with the business before we get into the subject, this Sunday, the marathon is happening this Sunday. Is that about correct?
49, the 49th year.
Yeah. So on the 49th year, here's what's ridiculous, Jazzy J. They got MC Sticky welcoming the people to the Bronx at the marathon this year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
you know, and I'm like, okay, you want the drunk guy to come in and welcome people to the marathon. So that's cool. So that'll be me and Rodney C. from the Funky 4 Plus One More, you know, welcoming the runners down by, what's the area?
We're going to be in 138th and Ryder. And, you know, Jerry Fast Feet Fontanes joined up also.
Oh, Jerry,
DJ
yeah.
Flame also
Ooh,
called
Gail,
up.
yeah.
Maze called up also. So people are hitting me up and saying, yo, I want to be down. I want to go. And I said, look, it's like 6-7 hours. 50,000 people. Okay? It's an incredible thing. And again, it amazes me. Hip-hop, created in the Bronx. The marathon comes through the Bronx. And has hip-hop ever done anything for those marathon runners to let them know you just arrived in the hip-hop country?
Not that I can even remember. Right?
It's the first time.
So I really feel honored
That's
that they're like,
something.
give MC Sticky the microphone, you know, because if you don't know, because I know there's a lot of confusion with that, I'm from the Bronx. I lived on Soundview, over on Morrison Avenue, and I lived on 181st Street and 3rd Avenue, over by St. Barnabas Hospital. So it was really an honor for me to actually come to it to really do that, and that's what we got going on, and that's going to be incredible. So this Sunday, if you can tune in, there's going to be a live feed, right?
Yeah. So WSME Radio, you know, Stephen Richardson is one of our advisory board members.
Okay.
And he's the owner of that internet radio show. So he's going to do a live feed from there. So that way we'll be able to interview those MCs and breakers and graffiti artists, everybody who shows up. And Scratch Master Jazzy G. Yeah, he hit me up later.
Okay,
on.
all right.
He's coming too.
Okay.
So everybody who shows up and just welcomes these people from all over the world. It's an incredible feeling to see somebody from Italy, Germany, Japan, Tokyo. They're coming from all over the world, just
Kenya,
running
you know.
everywhere. And then they could run.
Yeah, listen, they run the
They
shit
can
out of
run.
marathon. Listen, the Kenyans always win. That's kind of how it goes, you know what I'm saying? But, so what time should we be out there, Al? What time should we
I
be
think
out
that
there?
an 8 o'clock, 8:30 time is a good time to be there because they're locking everything down. They want to make sure that everybody is safe. You know, we got to give props to Latino Sports who opened the doors for us. Julio Pabonga came.
Did you contact the weather guards to make sure the weather's going to be good?
From what I understand, the weather guard said it is approved.
Oh, okay.
It is approved. We're going to be out there, Jazzy.
All right.
And
And
that's
we running
incredible.
in 3 feet of snow. You know how New York can get.
Come on, it can get rough out here, especially in November. You don't know where it's going to go. So what's dope about that is we'll be out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of people don't understand. If you don't understand this, first of all, I've run a marathon, right? I did a half marathon. I did the 13 and a half miles. And first of all, it's really grueling to do that. That's number one. And two, when you reach those stations where there are people cheering you on, it gives you more energy to keep running. It gives you more energy to keep running. So that's what our function is, you know what I'm saying, at this particular, you know, when you come to the Bronx, are we playing music?
Yeah, we have a DJ there. Latino Sports provided a DJ for us. We have Bronxnet that's going to come also.
Okay.
All right, and Bronx Lebanon's going to give us some food, and I think Giovanni's going to give us some pizza too.
Nice.
So we're getting fed.
All right, listen, if we getting fed, I'll be out there the whole 7 hours, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm out there to do the whole thing.
That's great, though.
ESP, what else do we have going on in our life?
It's global.
It is global.
You
What
know,
else?
you have a lot of stuff going on in your life. We promised that we were going to keep you as an audience in contact with what we were doing with NYCHA, and
Right.
that we were going to keep up with them, and we were at a NYCHA conference
Okay.
on Monday night. And your boy got up and did
He
his
shut it
thing.
down.
Shut
Rocco
it
shut
all
it
the way
down.
down.
He shut it down.
Basically, what we did was go in and speak to the people who would not come out, or the people who do not turn on their radios or do not do the podcast thing. And Rock really took it home and shook some people's lives. So much so that, ladies and gentlemen, if I can get a drum roll or some applause,
We need applause.
your boy is looking at running for office. We're not joking.
Yeah. No.
Councilman
There
Rock
are,
Logic.
there are several
Wow.
political leaders that were in the audience that night and
Yes, they
said,
were.
we want you to stand up as a voice. So what office, I'm going to let you chime in, what office have you accepted running for, or we're not saying yet?
I mean, based on the email that we got before we came, it sort of depends on what's up. Now, I've heard public advocate, I've heard councilman, I've heard these different things. So basically, because I'm new to the political arena, whatever they say and whatever the organization say that is available, then that's what I'm going to run for. I'm just going to go for it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why not?
But that's some shit. I mean, I'm the one who does. I'm the one who doesn't. I'm the big advocate of non-cursing.
not cursing.
Well,
But that's some shit right there.
ain't that?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Public advocate
So
would be a
whatever
nice
they want to
office.
do, I'm down for it. You know what I'm
That's
saying? I mean, this is kind of
amazing.
new. And what's cool about it is I get to talk for the people. And, the NYCHA situation is really critical on what they're trying to do with NYCHA. And I know it's not a NYCHA show, but, how they're trying to move people out and how they're trying to commercialize the projects and turn them into condominiums. So it's good. I want to be the voice for that. You know what I'm saying? So whatever office.
You gonna fight gentrification?
Listen, I'm fighting gentrification, baby.
Boy, you better
Listen,
get a big bat. Get one of them Fred
Listen,
Flintstone bats.
I got a club, Jazzy. So whatever they want to do, I'm down for it, and I accept it. And then I guess in the next couple of weeks, we'll actually announce the actual office that we're going to run for. I know there's an election coming up on Tuesday,
Yes.
November 5th. So that will pass. But over the next 2 years, we're going to build this MC Sticky, Rock Logic, Charles Smith campaign
Absolutely.
to campaign for whatever office they're talking about. We're not disillusioned. We're not thinking, okay, we're going to do it, tomorrow and we'll be in. We're going to build and we're going to tour the projects, and we're going to be amongst the people and hear what they're saying, and we're going to go for it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk for the people. That's what it's about. And I think people are ready for change. And if you're ready to accept a rapper that said 6 words, shake what your mama gave you, right? Then you need to come hear me speak, because I got a lot more to say than that. You know what I'm
Guys,
saying?
the President of the United States is a reality show host. I think.
Do I got a shot,
that-
ESP?
Yeah. It's a wrap. We're good.
All right,
We're
cool.
good.
Look, I mean, I think that, and Brock, we kind of had this discussion back in June where, the hip hop generation that we grew up in.
Right.
Now we're, moms, dads, we're grandparents. So we things are affecting us now.
Right.
So now it's excellent to have our own run for office. I mean, look, Scarface is running for office down in Houston.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Come on. So I think it,
Was homeboy from the Ghetto Boys, Willie D? He's running.
Yeah, absolutely.
right,
Right.
And I think the dude from
and his platform is solid too. Them people are behind him. They like, oh boy, the boy got something to say. But he's a rapper. Most of y'all,
we got something to say.
Yeah. Plus y'all talk too much, so it's a perfect arena for a rapper.
And what's the guy from the Jersey crew? What are they called? Do It All, and what's his name? Lords of the Underground.
I thought it was Double X Posse.
No, from the Lords of the Underground.
That's
He
right.
ran.
That's
He
right.
ran.
It is Lord
Yeah,
of
one
Underground.
of them ran actually.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good platform, and I'm excited to even be about it.
Well, it's good. It's good to run without having the police chasing you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Run for a good reason.
We got something new, Jazzy.
Uh-huh.
So now let's get engaged into the subject.
Boy.
And this subject
and
is.
I'm passionate about it, and that is the history of hip hop. And I got the 2 perfect people to talk about it, because I want to talk about it from a standpoint of, number one, the history of hip hop, but then how hip hop inspired freestyle. music, right? Which is also really partially hip hop. It's a hybrid of hip hop, as far as I've seen it. So, Jazzy, I want to talk to you, brother.
Yeah, man.
So here's the deal. What was the moment? What was the moment when you knew that you wanted to be a DJ?
Well, let me tell you.
And what year was it?
I'm talking about the early 70s. I had to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like maybe 73, 74, 75, in that area, you know what I'm saying? As we get older, them dates kind of get a little flabbergasted in your
no
mind.
doubt. Yeah.
And basically, living in Bronx River, riding my bikes through the projects, popping wheelies for blocks. I was always known as that's the dude that he only ride on one wheel. You know why he got the other wheel on his bike. He need to be riding a unicycle.
Uh-huh.
But in all of that, it used to be this essence of when the music came out. First it was like the Jazzmobile, and they bring out the bands, you know what I'm saying? You standing on line for the government cheese, and everybody's like, getting that government baloney, whatever, because we were in the projects.
Right.
And that was like the highlight, summertime comes, spring break, you out of school, nobody stayed in the house playing video games and all this other things that they do today, the youth generation. So we always were outside.
Right.
From, you get up earlier and be outside than you did when it was time to go to school. You want to sleep. When summertime came, soon as the sun is up, you ready to roll on outside.
Right.
And in all of this, what was emanating from windows in the projects, and then, the specialized groups that used to come to the back of the center and everything, was that music that was the backdrop of my whole youth and childhood.
Right.
So me personally, I was a musician. I'm a drummer, play a little bit of keyboard. So, coming from that background, being in the church as a drummer and everything like that, music was always a part of my existence. I'm talking about from the beginning when I grew up in South Carolina, pull all the pots from underneath the counter and just get a couple of spoons and start beating on them. And all of that was perfectly where I wanted to go because, I was inspired by like the James Browns, the Earth, Wind and Fires, the Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Aretha Franklins of that era, all of the soul and funk of the 70s and the doo-wop stuff of the 60s and all of that. So music always played an integral part in my life.
Okay.
And I guess once I used to just be the guy playing the drums out the window, have a whole group of people outside in the front of the projects, in front of my building, dancing, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I just wanted to have, that outlet where you can actually do something that you love and bring joy to others. And I think it was around the time when I started hearing music emanating out of one window in particular that I said, wow, you know what I'm saying? This is the music of my era, but it's just being played in a different light. And that's when I really wanted to become a DJ, you know what I'm saying? Took the drum set, that kind of went in the corner, and, at that time, like I said, from the project, you ain't got resources available to you as far as like finances and all of that. So I used to do is you got to build a better mousetrap. Somebody throw out an old component set or old console. I go downstairs, rip the turntable out, take my little carpentry skills, build a little box around it. So, you never had a real pair of turntables. You just had this mashup.
This is you.
Yeah, the mashup of whatever. Whether it was finding a bike and finding a chain, a sprocket, and two wheels and fixing it up. I had that thrive to make something out of nothing.
So here's a question: Who was the DJ that you heard first, and
what
was the first record?
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay, because I want to know.
Yeah, so
because I know where it happened for me.
Yeah,
I want to know where it happened for you.
Yeah, and being that one of the first DJs was Tommy. Tommy lived in the building in front of it. He was a bass player.
Okay.
So he used to bring out his earth columns. You remember the earth columns?
Yeah, I remember those.
They look like
There was like 4 woofers in them or 3
four.
woofers in
Yeah,
them.
yeah. The columns they had 4. You know, the earth columns they had 4 speakers, and
Yep.
they was always dressed up to look like furniture.
Right.
You had the little.
They had padding on
Yeah,
them.
you had the padding with the little pills in it. You know what I'm saying? And guys used to rock these. So he used to come out with his earth head, 2 real turntables, and just play music.
Okay.
And then it was like, you know, more or less a lot of the music that was being played on the radio.
Okay.
But
okay.
emanating out of this one window in the projects was music that was being played on the radio, and that 3rd and 4th cut on that album that nobody else played, and was like, wow.
What is that?
What is that? That ain't just the average, you know what I'm saying, WBLS or WLIB format. This is on a whole different level.
Okay.
And, you know, later on, you know, we found that person out to be Africa Bambaataa.
This was Africa Bambaataa.
Yeah, playing out his window, you know. And like I said,
Zulu Nation Africa Bambaataa was playing out of his window.
out his window, yeah. He had no
Okay.
he had no equipment, but he played that music, put that speaker in the window, and
Okay.
play music all day. And I used to ride around the circle, popping my wheelie, just having a great old time. And every time I got to that section of the window, I'd stop and, you know what I'm saying, do my little quick 2-step and then off again, you know.
Gotcha.
But that's when it clinched it for me that this was something that I wanted to be a part of. So, you know, it was the task of finding out what those beats were, what those songs were. So, you know, this started that whole subculture of digging.
So
You know,
wait. Do you remember what the first record was?
Uh,
That you went, oh, I need that.
it would be a cross between Parliament Funkadelic, Tear the Roof Off the Sucker,
Okay.
or Jimmy Cash the Bunch, Just Begun, or the Incredible Bongo Band, Apache,
Yeah.
Sesamato, John Davis and the Monster Orchestra, I Can't Stop.
I can't stop.
These- these are all-
Classics.
these are all beyond classics. These are what form the sacred crates.
The sacred craze.
This is the
Right.
foundation
That's
of
right.
which all of the hip hop was built on. This is the music that embodied the culture of hip hop, because I remember, you know, talking to some of the club DJs, and you know, these are the disco DJs that used to blend records for 25 minutes. You had 2
Sure,
records on
yeah.
top of one another, but more or less, when the people used to go crazy was when that break came in, and the bongos and the drums and the bass line and everything took over, and
Right.
then for that 20 seconds or whatever, however long that break was, that's when everybody used to go, wow. So
Okay.
hip hop took that and said, you know what? We need to, instead of listening to that song from the beginning and let it play all the way through, we need to get just the meat of it.
Right. Just the break.
Just that break, that searching your souls, that connection to your ancestors type break.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All of that, you know, when you heard Shaft in Africa, you know, that was you communicating with your ancestors in Africa, and this was the next level we were taking it to actually just like kind of find our identity. And
So in that question, right, and then move the Al on something. In that question, what I'm going to ask you is, how did you all make it smooth, right? Like, how did you know to cut the record from beat 1 and then let it play for 4 bars or 5 or 8 bars and then cut it again? Or, because I remember when Herc would play, right? Herc would just kind of crash the record in, right?
Right,
He
right.
wouldn't loop the beat. It just crash and then crash and then crash. But
Yeah.
he played the break, but it wasn't on beat.
It
So-
wasn't the transition would be an evolution that would take time.
Okay.
And then you know, all of the first generation DJs, with the exception of Flash,
Right.
were DJs that kind of just threw the songs in,
Right.
or kind of like, you know, when it going out there, fade in and fade out.
Right.
There wasn't no quote unquote
Oh, we got a phone
scratching-
call coming in.
scratching and blending until later on. We'll get into that,
Hold on.
and I'll tell you how that evolved.
Who's the phone call? Hello? What up, Lazy Lays?
Lays in the house.
First of
Oh,
all,
can I get a
First of
cig
all-
on?
we got to do a whole show on Jazzy. I mean,
Oh man.
Jazzy will not only build you your turntables, he will bring them to your house and fix them when they get messed up.
And if y'all don't know who that is,
and then you're missing the question.St of all, Jazzy,
Yes, sir.
what was it to start Def Jam?
Oh,
That's
man.
right. That's
we
right.
ain't get there yet.
We're about to get there, Lays.
We ain't get there, Lays. Lays is early.
First of all, salute to all the legends in the room. First of all, salute to all the legends. There's a lot of legends in that room, man. Hip hop is alive and well.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I go around the world. I do 80 to 100 shows a year with the world famous, and we all over Europe and America. And let me explain something to you, man. I don't want nobody to feel unappreciated that what you're doing is not being represented, because around this planet, you are the biggest thing. And if you want to know stats, back in 2013, we was having a conversation. We looked it up. Hip hop was a $500 billion industry around
That's
the world.
right.
Yeah.
The fact that you guys created that is crazy. You know what I'm saying? This is what you created. Like, you are the Mount. Jazzy J is the Mount Rushmore. Somebody needs to make, and just gotta put Jazzy on some kind of pedestal because he's kind of short. You know.
There you go.
And just whoever's listening who doesn't understand who's on the phone, that's Lazy Lays from the world famous MOP. You know what I'm saying? They made Annie Up and Cold as Ice and all of that.
All
So
that good
all that
Real
good shit,
hip-hop.
baby. Real hip hop.
No, man. First of all, I love y'all, man. Like, first of all, I'm a big supporter of Rock. I mean, we miss him so much. It's going crazy. Rock is running for city council. First of all,
Oh,
that's what's
boy.
going on today. It's crazy. Rock, you running for city council. I'm voting. I'm in, and I want a job on the campaign. I want to be part of. I want to write all the talking points. You know what I'm saying?
You bring the cigars.
You bring the scars, baby. We're gonna do that.
Oh, we gonna go. I got plenty of cigars for everybody. Oh man, this is ESP. How you doing?
Hi,
How you doing?
sweetie.
Everybody in the house, how y'all doing?
We're good. We're good.
Oh, that's my girl right there. Listen, you guys are doing great stuff again. Hip hop. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Brownsville, so my version of hip hop was different, but it's along the same lines as y'all's. 1975, 76. 77.
Yep.
You know, after the blackout, you know, we broke into a lot of stores and stole a lot of equipment. So
That's how
we
we
was able to
became
do a lot of
DJs.
block parties. With all the equipment that we
Nah, you just came up on some equipment. You know?
Yeah, we can't. There you go. Well, listen, the statute of limitations got to be over at this point. So we came off with some equipment from Pickett Avenue, and a
we
few
robbed
stores
some
got
shit.
burnt down. So, you know, that's how it goes. Somebody had insurance. You know what I'm saying? You know, but other than that, man, like, the topic is great, man. The fact that you're going to be out there with the let me shout out the Roadrunners, the NYC Roadrunners.
Oh yeah, no
Because
doubt.
Rock did do the 13-mile run.
I did the boogie. Yeah,
I did a 10. I'm part of the Roadrunners too.
that's right.
I wasn't doing that. Listen, I wasn't doing that 13. I wasn't doing that 26. There's something. I played too much basketball and concrete, man. The knees just couldn't handle it. You know?
Yeah,
But let me explain something to you. Good. I want to shout out Black Man Run, my man Kovan. They do a situation where a lot of brothers, they run through the entire New York City. They run through all the hood, the ghettos, because they want young men to see black men running and not just running for the police, but actually jogging and getting in shape.
Not running with a TV, but running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, listen, I'm not going to hold y'all up because this is such an interesting topic, but I always want to call and get my perspective.
Yep.
Jazzy,
Yes,
tell
sir.
the story. Tell about the studio in the Bronx.
Yo, dude,
I need to hear all of that. I need to hear Jazzy.
Hey, yo, wait till we go into the.
I got 'em.
Wait till we go into the stories, man. You know I got a million of them.
I got him, Lays.
There it is.
On that note, I'm going to get off the phone. God bless everybody. Have a good night. Hey, yo, Rocco, man, I'll talk to you later.
All right, that's a bet, baby.
One love, Lays.
All right, Lays.
Yep. So that bridges me to Al. Al, you've been involved in hip hop for a long time. I want to know what was your first involvement when you got the bug, right? Because I got the bug from Jazzy. That's how I got the bug. I saw Jazzy playing with Bam in 100 Park, right? And the first record I heard that Jazzy had played, and I do this when I perform a lot of times, he played Apache. And when I heard Apache, I was like, oh shit, like, yo, this is incredible. And he was going back and forth, and he was Jazzy J. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't human to me. This was Jazzy J. You know what I'm saying? And he was that. And then as we became friends, and I realized he was actually human. And still, you know, 2 weeks ago, we talked about some stories that we'll talk about later that I couldn't even believe that he even went through becoming a DJ early. So what was the first thing that bit you when you wanted to be down with this hip-hop situation?
You know, a lot of people don't realize that I've been playing music before 1973. Because in 1974, I graduated from Columbus High School.
Christopher Columbus?
There you go.
I went to Christopher Columbus
I know.
too.
What school did you go to?
Come on, baby. I've been around. I went to Christopher Columbus.
So,
Yeah.
and my junior high school was 136.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with the Black Spades and the Black Pearls and all that. And I was a gangster at a young age.
Right.
So at junior high school, that's what I rolled with. So I rolled with a bunch of cliques, and they needed music. They wanted to dance in their clubhouse. So
Okay.
I bought the little 45s. I would go to Kringle's 5 and 10 store, if you remember that.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
would buy
great.
the 45s, and then I had my subscription to Columbia House, and I would get my albums from Columbia House.
Columbia House. I remember
Yeah.
Columbia House.
So
They
I would
would
get
send
the
records to your
Ohio
house.
players and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and I would use my mom's system because she had the system with the turntable and the TV combined stereo. All right. So I would connect the speaker wires to her speaker and have my speaker and just put it out the window, and I would just take the spindle and put the 45s, and I'll play one record. Then it'll just drop. And
Right.
it'll play. So I didn't know at that time what I was going to become. I was just doing that, I was playing music, and I said, well, this is cool because I was the smallest kid in the block. I was into just reading books and everything, and
Right.
I was into myself. And I really didn't deal with too many people. I was shy as hell at school. But when it came to just playing music, it was just the love of the music. I mean, I used to write the lyrics for every song that was on the radio when I heard it. And there was no black station back then.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
everything was basically rock and roll and all that. So whatever I heard,
WABC.
whatever I heard, all my friends were either black or Puerto Rican. I didn't live in a white neighborhood or even close to white. So whatever music I heard, that's where I heard it from.
Okay.
Whatever dances I learned, that's where I learned it from.
Right.
So way before 1973 now, I'm in high school.
Okay.
And I'm in my last gang. And, I'm taking this.
Al, you can't skip that without saying, what was the gang you were in, Al? You gotta say what gang you was in, Al.
So I was in a gang called the Savage Immortals.
Okay. Okay.
Word. And they was no joke in that area.
So the Savage Immortal were, if me being a member, I was probably the smallest and youngest guy in that clique.
Okay.
Because they were all beasts, they were exercising every single day, muscle bound and all that, and they were all
Karate.
tall. They used to call me Little Al. They said, Little Al, come here.
Okay.
So I always had beef. For some reason, I always wound up in problems and all that. And my mom was like, really, I don't know if this kid's actually gonna make it here.
Yeah.
But music was my vehicle.
Okay.
So hip hop music was introduced to me, and I gotta give credit to Mean Gene, okay? Because I was playing with my turntable.
Mean Gene is who?
DJ Mean Gene, Grand Wizard Theodore's brother.
Yeah, okay. All right. The L brothers.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'm playing in the projects, and I'm just playing with my two turntables, and I remember I had my 45s, and I would just work and buy my 45s, and I would buy imports and all that. And Mean Gene had this monster system. I had a damn column speaker.
Right.
That's one column speaker. That's what I had.
Right.
And Mean Gene would play this system and blew me like out of the water. But he was like down the block. He wasn't even in the same block. I said, "What is that? Whose system is that?"
Right.
But something made him go to where I was at, and he would just listen to me. He says, "Where you get that music from?" And I'm buying it. He says, "What's that record there?" I said, "Yeah, that's an import from here, and that's import from there, and all that." And we kind of got close, but that was like my introduction now to hip hop in that manner because they were just playing in the parks,
Right.
you know, and they were just playing break beats and all that. Now, my introduction to professional DJs now, because remember the DJs were the guys who were playing in Manhattan.
Right.
If you were playing in Manhattan in a club, that was a DJ. Everybody else, it was a hobby. It was you were playing around.
That's
you
right.
wasn't serious.
Yeah, you was bullshitting.
You know, right.
Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine, his name Francisco Diodonet, and Frank was a good friend of Jelly Bean Benitez. And he took me to my first club.
Oh wait, I need a year. What year is this?
This got to be 75, 74.
Oh wait, Jelly Bean, who produced Madonna,
Right.
in 75.
75.
Okay.
That's some history. Yeah.
So I'm out of high school. All right. I just came out the service, out of boot camp and everything. And I met my boy Frank, and he's telling me, yeah, I'm a DJ now. And my boy Jelly Bean's showing me. So we go to his club. His club is Mariposa over on Broadway, over what we call the Heights now.
Okay.
So go to his club, fancy club, beautiful club, and we go to the DJ booth, and I had a big afro, green army coat, all right, and a sawed-off shotgun on my side. That was me when I walked in the streets.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so I'm walking in this club, and I go into the DJ booth, and this guy is just playing music, and I don't hear a break. I just hear everything going nice and smooth, like from one record to another. And I'm saying, wait a minute, how's he just got it like that?
Yeah, this is
Just-
different.
This is different. So when I go to, I didn't even hear the records that he played. I didn't even know. And I'm looking like, I'm trying to look at his records and
Right.
everything blacked out. Telling me he used to black out his records.
That's right.
So you wouldn't know what they were. So Frank, that's when I caught the bug.
Okay.
That's when I said, I need to do this.
I want to do this.
I'm going to be that. I'm going to do that.
And you know what's interesting? If you don't understand the digging in the crates concept, and I know a lot of you don't because you want a part of that hip hop culture in the Bronx. The DJs used to cross out the name of the record so you couldn't see it because everybody wanted to have that record
That's
that
right.
they played and nobody else could play.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what defines you, the anonymity of the songs that you played, and the fact that you got credit for bringing that song to fruition, and
That's right.
And other cats were fiending, and it would be months, maybe even years before they even came up on it because it was so secretive. You steam the records off, you cross them out, you put tape over them, and
Did everything you could.
Yeah,
Because that
hide
was
identity.
your credibility. That was your cred.
That was your
you know?
street cred. That was your cred.
Yeah.
And what I remember you guys used to do, and I remember like seeing Jazzy do this and Bam do this, and you put the record in a different album cover. so now you thinking, oh, I saw the record. Okay, and you go buy that album, and it's some bullshit, right? You done spent your hard-earned, you done spent your hard-earned money.
That ain't no McDonald's burger. You know what I'm saying?
I remember that. I remember kind of falling a few times before I realized what y'all was doing, by the way. All right? Oh, look at that. There's the album cover. I'm going to go get that album cover. And it was nothing. It was nothing, that was even like.
But look at the amazing thing. After getting introduced to Jelly Bean and meeting the Larry Levans
Sure.
and
Big shout out to Larry Levan.
Bobby DJ Cadero and Tom Severese and all these
Yeah.
guys, I'm meeting all the top DJs in that field.
Right.
And they were getting their records for free. Now I was spending money on records,
For sure.
and I was like, "How are you getting these records for free? Oh, the companies are giving it to us." And I said, "Well, how the hell do I get into that? How do I get free records?"
Because you got to remember, we had to buy two, right? You didn't just buy one record. You had to buy two so you could spin the break. So if the record was $4, you had to spend $8. Right? So yeah, I get it. Yeah, it was
So now I joined a record pool called Disco Den Record Pool. 125th Street.
Disco Den, big up the Disco
Oh, we in
Den.
history here. Wow.
So
Okay.
now Dennis Franklin was the director there, and this was the first black record pool in Harlem.
Okay.
And he had, and I gotta say it this way, he had them white people in the music industry going crazy because he was breaking records that the professional DJs, we'll call it professional DJs,
Right.
they didn't play. They didn't play these records. So if it was too R&B-ish, nah, we're not going to play it. Because it was a big disco era.
Right.
So
That's
that's
right.
what they were playing. And through that time that I stood with Disco Den, I mean, I did everything. I said, you want me to sweep? You want me to mop? You want me whatever you want me to do?
Okay.
Am I going to get some records? Do I get a bin number?
Right.
And they gave me a bin number. And they said, okay. And then eventually they said, you're going to stay in the office. You're going to give the record out to the DJs and all that. And that was my introduction into the professional side of the music business and getting records. Now,
Is that your spark for the record pool?
that's my spark for the record pool.
Mm.
So I opened up the first Bronx record pool,
I remember.
Shore record pool.
I remember that. I remember.
Big up to Shaw,
Yeah.
Bobby.
Bobby
That's
Davis,
right, that's
Paul
right.
Marin,
Yeah,
yep.
man.
yeah. Listen, I remember that 100%.
So and when I started that record pool, I purposely wanted to service guys who were working in clubs like I worked in, because I worked in a little club in the hood.
Friends.
And that's what I was looking for. That's
Right.
it. So guys would come and say, "Yo, man, I work in this bar. You're in here. Pay the fee, sign the application. Don't worry about it."
Right.
And we were breaking records. The companies could not understand. Because now you have For the Record, Judy Weinstein. You had David Mancuso. He had the law.
IDRC. the-
Yeah,
I
you had
was-
IDRC. You had all these
oh my
pools.
God.
But everybody was all the R&B and the hip hop stuff. They didn't want it.
Plus, they didn't consider us DJs
That's
anyway.
right.
And I just got to be clear with that for everyone that's listening. The record pool was where DJs got their records.
Yeah.
And what Al did was he made the records accessible to technically the non-professional DJ. You know what I'm saying? The DJ that was DJing on the street, the DJ that might have been getting his legs up. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't, in the clubs where these other DJs were servicing you, Al was in the Bronx, #1, in the hood, where we can go and get those records from, and you can have your bin and you got your shit.
For you to be in in For the Record, you need a certified letter from the club owner. All right, you had to be working at least 2 nights a week, and it had to be an official disco club. Couldn't be like a little lounge.
Right.
So it had to be the Studio 54s of the world.
Right.
And most of them were in Manhattan. So you're talking about Larry Levan.
Yeah,
And,
the big
you know,
guys.
and- yeah,
Reggie Wells.
Reggie. You're talking
Yeah.
about all these guys. So when I opened up this pool in the Bronx, it was everybody who was coming was just like, man, I'm so glad that you're giving me these records. They were leaving with 25, 30, 40 records a week.
Right.
That's a lot of records. But
That's a lot of money when you got to pay for it.
Exactly.
they were saving a ton of money.
Sure.
So I said, I got to do a little more. I said, I'm just giving them the records. So I started to have meetings once a month, and I said, I need these record company people to teach me and to teach us, and us and my members, about this business.
Okay.
Publishing, distribution, promotion, marketing, royalties, everything. So we started doing that, and before you know it, the companies are saying, "Can we bring this act to perform and see how the response is?" And Al, can we bring this record to play and test it out with your DJs and everything? And then I started getting members from other pools coming to my meetings.
Right.
And I'm saying, "You're not even my pool, man. What are you doing?" I said, "No, man. My boy, he's in your pool, and he invited me over here, and I'm just, I want to hear what they got to say."
Remember when it got to the point where the pools were like almost an extension of the gangs? It'd be one pool against, and if you was in the top ranking pools, we didn't like you. And usually we were
competition.
we were the underground cats. So when you was from like them higher up pools, it's like, man, look at him, he think he all of that and everything like that.
Whatever.
We need to go piss on his area and let him know we was there. Yeah, man.
Look, it was amazing to take Carlos de Jesus,
Right.
Michael Ellis,
Oh, Carlos, what was that show?
Frankie
Carlos had?
Crocker,
You
New
remember
York,
it?
New York Hot
WKTU.
Tracks.
He had Hot Tracks. He was
Yeah.
on KTU,
And he was on New York Hot
and
Tracks.
he had Hot Tracks.
Yeah.
That's right. He was
So-
the first video DJ, really.
I took these guys to the hood clubs in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens and everything, and they were just like, holy crap. crap, we never even knew this existed.
Right.
And what is this music they're playing?
And how could we tap in?
Gotcha.
And open the doors. And we would just, and from that point, then I started letting mobile DJs join in.
Right.
I said,
And then
you
it
don't have to
became
even
on.
be in a club. You're doing parties, 316s and all that stuff. You're breaking records too.
That's right. That's true. That's
And-
true. That's true.
We were getting,
which was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
That you were doing that.
then we were getting a plaque like every month. Every month, another award, another award, another award. And I got like 50, 60 plaques
Right.
already. And then we were winning Record Pool of the Year every year.
You
So
were killing
it was, then the political stuff happened. And I became, they put my name to become a Billboard reporter.
Okay.
Now, to become a Billboard reporter, you can't be a pool director because you can manipulate the list
Sure, the charts. Yeah.
and get more records
Yeah.
from different companies because you're saying, hey, you know, your record's number 5 now, man.
Right.
So, but Greg Riles, Curtis Ubina, Fred Maneo,
Fred Monet, yeah.
I remember Fred. Yeah.
um,
What was that
Select-
label you had?
Select Records.
He had Fred Select Records.
So they went-
which was UTFO on Select.
they went and wrote a letter to Billboard, and they said, out of all the individuals that we know, this man not only deserves to be a Billboard reporter, but we believe in his integrity and that he will not abuse this privilege that he gets.
Okay.
And I became a Billboard reporter after every pool in the country disagreed,
Wow.
and didn't and like they try to blackball me to.
Right. To stop you.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
That makes me feel like I can run for office. I'm feeling good.
yeah.
So, ESP, you are from Queens.
You gonna start?
I'm going to start.
Start it up.
ESP, what was the first thing in hip hop that bit you that turned you on to hip hop? What was the first record or the first artist or what was it?
1974,
Okay.
127 Park
Okay.
with, boy, what are those brothers?
Disco Twins.
No. The ones before them.
Ooh.
The Lawrences.
Oh.
Oh my God, if Paul hears me, he's going to have a fit.
Yeah, he's going to kill you right now.
Yeah, because Paul is the little brother.
Mhm.
Donnie was the big brother. And I can't remember what the group was,
Okay.
but the park was right across the street from me, and they played all night. And it was the first time I heard Apache, and I was like, that's,
You're like, hey.
what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And, oh my God, every Friday night, every Saturday night, they would come out there, and the parents would be screaming and carrying on, because
Right.
it was like the quiet neighborhood. We've always had that conversation. But yeah, that was my first turn on, and then from there it was hip hop all the way.
Right.
It wasn't even hip hop then. We just knew
You were
that we were
playing
having
records.
fun.
You were
We were
playing-
playing
yeah.
records,
Because
your little
because
horn and-
because each borough birthed their own stars, right? And Queens, in your neighborhood in particularly, that's Kid and Play and
But that
Salt
was
and
a
Pepper.
lot later
Yeah, that was a lot
on.
later.
That was a lot
but
later on.
but all of them were inspired by that
Yeah.
movement that happened in your neighborhood in Elmhurst, in East
Mm-hmm.
Elmhurst. Gary, talk to me, baby. What turned it on? What made it pop for you that you got down with this thing?
I remember there was a roller disco in Brooklyn called Empire Roller Disco.
Oh yeah.
Empire, yeah.
Everybody
Right around, like,
Yep.
my bedroom window was literally across the street. So I think there was a time where, like, I think had Jazzy came out there one time, Cold Crush,
Okay.
and I was hearing this from my bedroom window. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, this was, obviously, it wasn't stuff on the radio.
Right.
And then it was a little while after I was up late night and I stumbled on WHBI.
Yep.
Zulu Beats.
Zulu Beats, baby.
And that
Jazzy was
it.
DJing.
That was it. That was
Africa
it.
Islam. Big shout out.
Exactly. Africa Islam, yeah. That
Yeah,
was it.
that's
Yeah, that
crazy.
was my, that was my interest. And after that, I was religious with Zulu.
About being Zulu Beats.
Yeah, I was religious with that.
Yeah, that was a great show.
That was actually the show that spawned a lot of things. Spawned Stretch Armstrong
Yes.
and Bobbito.
Yeah.
They
Right.
went on. They went on to actually put a lot of the cats from the 90s and 90s era on the map.
That's right.
And it all started because they was admin followers of Zulu Beat.
Yeah.
And now, because we sort of bridged into your radio career, and then we need to also address the Def Jam situation, right? Because we want to be clear about that. But what people don't know about Jazzy is Jazzy was actually the first hip-hop DJ on mainstream radio. He was on Kiss FM.
That's right. That's right.
And I remember when he went on, right? And I was like, oh shit, Jazzy J is on Kiss FM, right? You know,
Get them cassettes together.
like, we got to record this, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, and you hear about the history of Kiss FM, and they leave Jazzy out when Jazzy was actually before Red Alert. Big shout out to Red Alert, my brother, and Chuck Chill Out. Big shout out to both of them. Jazzy was actually the first one on 98.7 Kiss FM.
That's true.
Making those tapes, you know what I'm saying? And I remember that. So what I want to ask you, and maybe we should go into the Def Jam situation, but I'm sort of interested in something that I wanted to ask you about. And we could kind of move this around the table. What were who were the hip hop groups that you would say were the substantial, like, big bangs or the bumps that changed hip hop culture on that first or second album? Like, what groups would you say? Or even before the albums? Like, where are we at?
Let's say, to me, I think the pre-album phase was more important than when it went to vinyl, because you think about groups like the Cold Crush, the Fantastic, the Treacherous Three, the Spoonie G's, you know, the Soul Sonics, the Funky Fours, and all of that. You know, they used to do these routines that would last for, like, you know, 45 minutes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All intertwining with different rhythms going in that and back and forth, and, you know, the send-offs and the handoffs and the get-backs. And people used to just line up. I mean, a Cold Crush tape in that time, for what it was worth, was probably going double platinum around the globe. People would go to the army, they take the tape with them. I think that era had more influence than when it started to get on vinyl, and we had to fight to do that because they had no real respect for hip-hop. I'm talking about the groups that were doing it before it was even called hip-hop. You know.
So then here's a question then. So Coke La Rock was the first MC, is that correct?
Well, Coke La Rock was one of the first MCs that used to embody that cool, that became that signature of what hip hop was. It wasn't the, you know, this is Frankie Rocker, we on the radio, and you know, and the guys are like, yeah, we do it, do. That era was kind of getting phased out to almost to the point where when cats started hearing, you know, lime to a lemon and a lemon to a lime, come on everybody, let's have a good time, blah 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 blah, you know.
So where's Coke La Rock in between the lime to the lemon, the lemon to the lime, and the radio DJ?
The Coke La Rock had that like that mystique about him. You know what I'm saying?
So was he rhyming or was he simply announcing?
He was kind of MCing, and that was like more like the master of ceremony. So he would get on and kind of tell you, yeah, yo, rock to this. The rock, the rock, and you know, have everybody grooving to the hypnotic type of rhythmic flow. Remember it was a joint back in the day. Everybody used to do. It was a Great Bear commercial. Great Bear. Driving down the highway in the middle of the night. Went up ahead, there was a terrible fright. I hit my brakes, but they're not all there, and I missed this one by only a hair. Drive a little faster, but your hands still shaking. You say to yourself, I'm gonna fix them brakes.
Right, that's right. I remember that.
And people used to actually take stuff like that and use it in their routines. Now, as the routines got more intricate and groups started looking for different ways to express themselves, that was the most, to me, you know, other than formatting it for vinyl and saying, okay, I'm going to go to a format of 8 bars and a chorus and a hook.
So here we go. Here's my question. Give me the next MC or MC crew that helped shape that. So they got away from Coco, and now they're starting to rhyme.
I would have to, I would
Who
have
you
to
credit that to?
I would have to say like like the era when the Funky Four started putting their routines on vinyl.
All right, who was first, Funky Four or the Furious Five?
You know what? That one I think the Funky Four.
Okay.
But you remember that record was what, about 3 hours on about 15 like 15, because it was it at that time.
I mean, before record though, before record.
Yeah, at that time it was hard to fit that whole routine. You had cats that would have in that one rhyme, before they passed the mic off, they'd be kicking 80, 70, 80 bars.
For sure.
So, that was a whole, when it compared to what lyrics people put on vinyl today, that was a whole side.
Sure.
You had to flip it over to continue continue.
Because vinyl only held 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
So basically that was the era where, it was like that creative. Now we had I heard Chuck D said it best. He was like, wow, we were trying to figure out a way to fit that intensity from the jam. Before it was called
That's right.
whatever, the jam. When you went to the jam, before it was called B-boy, you went to the jam to go off. So, we going over there, they going off. They born over there. This is before all the quote-unquote people that couldn't understand what we were doing had to label it. Once they label it and defined it, that gave them a reason to actually try to see how they can monopolize it and monopoly it to take it over. So, I kind of miss those days when we were on the street level plugging into lampposts, because the identity,
we did that.
The thing was, we were doing something that was like kind of against the grain.
Right.
And it was something that, it wasn't something that somebody else came up with or thought of. It was something that came out of necessity. We don't want to hear what's on the radio. We don't want to hear what's in the big clubs. We want our own voice. And this is the way we do it, between the artwork, between the dancing, between our way of dress. Because certain clubs, I know a lot of DJs think that, I was hip hop because I was out in the 70s and I was doing this and we were on the mics and everything like that. But no, you weren't. If you weren't from that era where you took that beat and you just kept that 3 seconds going while MCs would, in turn, rhythmically flow on top of that while B-boys were spinning on their heads and homeboys was on the back, spraying on the back of the damn building, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't hip-hop. You couldn't go into certain cats' clubs who call themselves hip-hop now and go in there with some 69ers on, some lead riders, come in there, one spin on the dance floor on your back. Yo, get him out of the club.
You out.
But now all of these DJs that used to kick us out of the club, now they're running. Oh, we were the pioneers of hip hop. No, you weren't. Stop your lying.
Exactly.
So my question is, right, and I guess it's two parts maybe. I forgot the other part, but this is one that stuck in my head. In the 70s, who would you say was, and for me it was Melly Mel, was probably the greatest MC of the 70s.
Hands down, Melly Mel. Melly Mel was like a god. When he walked in the place, it was like he kind of floated in and everybody was like, yo, that's Melly Mel.
Right.
Like
he was like a star.
Yeah. So like, just like how the energy you said about me, it was like he was irreproachable. It wasn't like until later on when I had to develop who I was, that I was confident enough to go up and say, hey, what's up, Mel, and shake his hand, because before that, it was like just him walking by me would make me nervous. It would
make you nervous.
Yeah, it would make me nervous. Like, wow, this guy is great. You know what I'm saying? Because he said things that you thought of, that you saw every day, but put it in a format. Just like Flash. When I was at Roosevelt High School, and I seen him do hot shot, hot shot, hot shot, hot
Aaron Young.
shot.
Wow.
Dude, I was not only mesmerized, I was kind of comatose. I remember it was a snowstorm, and I think we had like 18 to 24 inches of snow.
Okay.
All the buses were stuck, and we had to, that's a long walk from Roosevelt all the way back to Bronx River.
Hells yeah. That's Fordham Road.
Yeah, Fordham Road, and we walked up 180th Street. I swear to God, the whole time it was me, Crazy Mike, and one other brother, I forgot. And the whole time they were talking about the cold and damn, we in the snow and blah, blah, blah. And only thing I could think about was hot shot, hot shot. You know.
Going back and forth.
Oh, man, and it was like, wow, how did he do that? Needless to say, I got home, I think about 3, 4 in the morning, turned on my turntables, and they did not go off until I got.
So you understand?
Hot shot,
hot shot, hot. So Al, I want to bring something to the table that Jazzy mentioned, and maybe you can explain. All right, because I know we talk about a lot of things that we think that people understand, and Jazzy mentioned plugging into the light pole, right? Can you please explain that? Like what that was
Well, that
about?
was the only way to do it, though, because if you're bringing out your sound system, think about it.
Okay.
You didn't have money for a generator. We were what? We were 16, 15, 14.
We couldn't even spell generator.
Yeah. Right. So the light pole, when you took off the little metal plate
At the bottom of the pole.
at the bottom
At
of
the
the pole,
bottom, yeah.
there was a little plug in there that you could plug in like an extension cord.
Okay.
Or you could have brought the little piece that you screw it
Yeah,
on
it's
and,
a fuse-
and
a
get
fuse
your own
thing.
little plug. Right. So that was your plug in, and you plug in right there, and then you just do it very nonchalantly, so nobody knows you plug into that, and you hook up to your system, and you're all good to go, and nobody bothered you.
Right.
You know, everybody listened to the music, everybody did bob dancing, whatever. It was all good. Now, what happened was, when they started bringing out bigger systems,
You had to use 2 and 3 light poles.
You're blacking out the
You
fucking block.
you a jewelry power now.
Right.
It's you know, the thing that really empowered me was that when I gave out the records to these guys, see, they weren't the Tom Severese and all these guys. That wasn't them. They were hungry. They were hungry.
Thirsty for the music.
Oh man! So when I went to a record company, and they played a record for me, and they said, nobody seems to like this record, Al. Can we play it for you? And I said, play the whole thing. He said, but the first 2 minutes you should not play the whole thing. Play the whole thing and say, okay, stop right there. Okay, play that again. Stop right there. Okay, play that again. Okay, my guys are gonna like that. What? That little
break.
they're gonna love that. I need double of that. Give me double of that. They're gonna love that. Right. I bought a record to them, and when I say them, my members, Frisco Disco.
Oh man.
Dun 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 dun.
Another classic.
Which Slick Rick used, right?
Yeah.
For Children's Story, was it? Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I bought that record. The distributor looked at me and said, Al, we don't know what to do with this record.
Right.
It's a terrible record.
It's a terrible record. It was horrible.
Now,
it
dude,
was.
there's a white Jewish guy.
And
and
it was a disco record, too,
Right.
that became a breakbeat.
That's what they called it, Frisco Disco.
Frisco Disco.
But when I heard the beat, I said, this is a slam hit. Let me take this thing with me and watch what happened. I think it took the weekend. Because I gave it out to everybody. I said, what's this color record? Because it was all colored.
Right, because the vinyl wasn't black.
It was Candy Cane.
It was candy cane color, like a rainbow thing. That's right.
And all I did was put it, I said, listen to this. You got your copy down?
That was the same thing with Dance to the Drummer's Beat.
There you go.
Right.
Another classic.
And there were all these records that were created because of hip hop, right? Frisco Disco, welcome to Disco Airlines, right? And when you actually played the rest of the record was shit. Like, it was like, oh, what is this? Dance to the Drummer's Beat, you kind of got into it, but it was terrible. And another record that I remember was Freedom. Right? Terrible record until the break. And I heard Jazzy played in Bronx River. And all Jazzy played was and those horns went on for about 20 minutes. I was like, oh
man.
shit, I need that record. And then they had the kazoos in the beginning of the record.
Yeah.
What hip-hop created an industry for records that would not have made it.
That's
No,
right.
not at all.
Would not have made it. And we took this little 8 bars or 4 bars.
Or sometimes 2 bars.
And sometimes 2 bars. And just played that shit over and over and over. And that's what made DJs buy that record.
Yeah.
But
And you never heard the original record, yes.
now, dealing with the break beats, I mean, it came to a point where they wind up doing this super disco breakbeat volumes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that was
Well,
Tommy
that was-
Boy
yeah,
did that, I believe.
Packaging
that
it,
was
but I mean,
Lenny,
after.
Uncle Lenny.
Right.
Lenny.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I used to go to
God
Lenny's.
rest his soul.
He was like the master of record, like the true master of record.
Well, he's
he had downstairs, right?
Nah, Lenny had the street. What was that? Just before the octopus breaks, there's called the street breaks
Yeah,
or whatever.
before all that,
and
yeah.
he used to press them up, but the influence for every song that went on all those records, what he used to come to like places like the T Connection to Bronx, and remember we used to call him the world's oldest teenager because
Right.
Lenny was like in his late 50s when we were all like 13 and 14, 15.
sure.
And you look out and you see Lenny out there like any of the other teenagers.
Listening.
Yeah, he used to hang out with us the whole full nine, drive us to the club, drive us to the events a lot of times,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But that was before the inspiration for breakbeats, which kind of, certain DJs were for it and then other DJs were dead against it because of the fact that now it gave a lot of DJs access to songs that they didn't have to go dig for.
Correct.
And a lot of DJs, like the diggers, were pissed off at Lenny when he first. Matter of fact, he got.
I remember that. I was too.
He got threats. He got yo man, you giving up the Zulu beats and blah blah blah. You giving up the sacred entity. And Lenny was like, y'all gonna appreciate I'm doing this for all these years because cats would now. It's like what Serato did.
I was about to say, Lenny was the first Serato.
Yeah. It took the playing field. Whereas
And leveled it out a little bit.
Whereas you was a DJ, you had to buy your record content, you had to buy your turntables, your
Right.
mixer, your speakers, and all of that. What these things did was it made all of that readily available without you putting in the work.
And it was 6 songs.
Yeah.
There was 6 breaks on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you brought it for $4.99, and
you had $30 worth of breaks.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. I remember that.
So I mean, you didn't have to go. So for those DJs that started at that point, they didn't have to go look.
Yeah, you didn't have to dig.
But
They
it's
didn't go
nothing.
dig it.
You didn't know what Last Night Changed It All
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
album cover looked like.
But look, but
As
look,
a collector, you didn't. It was nothing like having that original piece of
Album.
vinyl with
Right.
the original art.
It was not like you being Lenny.
and look at the headache that the labels were getting because they had no idea because they were still dismissing this. You know, this
Right.
still was like, this is a fad, this is a go. Let's pump more money into the disco stuff and all that. The disco, the dance DJs, the disco DJs were so furious. Like they would take the hip hop records and actually throw them back at them.
Sure.
Like we don't want this stuff, man. Get rid of this
Yeah,
stuff. This ain't
Frankie
music.
Crocker was not fucking with hip hop.
Not yet.
No.
I remember KTU actually breaking Rapper's Delight.
Yeah.
I remember that being broke. And Flash, when Flash and them made Freedom, I remember I had to listen to KTU to hear that. It wasn't BLS that was playing.
Oh no. BLS wasn't playing. I remember we invited. I don't know who it was. Al invited some guy to speak at VIP when he started VIP Record Pool, and I was like, listen what this jackass is talking about. We will never play hip hop on our radio station. Who was that guy? I forgot who it was.
I think it was like what Joel Sakowitz, something like that.
Oh,
He was the program. He was the PD.
And,
Okay.
this was 1981, 82, all right? And I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for him to finish. So Al could see it in my, like I'm antsy, I'm waiting for this guy to finish. And I was like, times are changing, right? And you got to change with the times, right? And the guy was like, yeah, but our format, there's other radio stations that'll play that. I said, but the times is going to change. You're going to be playing hip hop. Oh, not in my era. I said, you ever heard of a song called Planet Rock? And he was like, yeah, we love Planet Rock. I said, well, then you played hip hop. What are you talking about?
Dick.
I was like, yo, you played hip hop. Well, technically, that's not really hip hop. That's all. I was like, that is hip hop. Yeah. What do you think? I said, I ought to know. I'm part of the group. Next question.
It was empowering, powerful, life-changing for my members. They're talking to presidents and vice presidents.
They get
People we would never see. People we would never see.
They were getting jobs now, remixing songs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All of that.
So there was a competition at home base.
Oh my God.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And Vito Bruno was
Vito's Club. Yeah.
Oh,
Vito
Vito.
Bruno was
Yeah, I got a story about
good guy.
Vito. Okay.
Turkey.
So Motown was doing a competition, and they said we want to pick a DJ that remix this record, and we had a female disc jockey in our pool, Jazzy Joyce,
Oh yeah, Jazzy. Yeah.
and I was looking at everybody, and everybody was, Al, I want to represent the pool. And I said, you know what? I think Joyce should represent us. And everybody looked at me and says, you sure about this? I says, I think Joyce should do that. And Joyce was like, Al, I really don't, there's a lot of pressure. And I said, Joyce, go do your thing.
Right.
I think you're going to take this home. And she went to home base, and she killed it and took it and got the remix, and that was the start of her career right there.
Wow. So this is going to kind of bridge me into something, and I want to do a couple of things. So I'm gonna leave it on the table. One, so we know Melly Mel was the guy for the '70s, right? And I want to know who was influential in the '80s, and it's probably a couple of those that were the big bang. But also, I want to know, how was freestyle music affected by hip hop?
I could tell you what was happening in my club.
Talk to me. Because I remember A-E-A-E-I-O-U. I remember that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And that was like
Sometimes why.
And sometimes why. So yeah.
So I'm working at La Mirage.
La
On,
Mirage.
on Kingsbridge Road.
Yeah.
We need applause for that, Hannibal. Woo!
So-
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, Jazzy J, T. La Rock, everybody was a regular there, and they were like bugging me out every night. And I said, you know that this is like a Spanish club.
Right.
You know, the owners don't want me to play no hip hop. I said, come on, Al, we're brothers. I said, all right, we're going to play some of your joints. We're going to let it go, and we're going to see what the hell he got to say. In the meantime, freestyle music was blowing up. Okay, I had met Luis Martinet out of Florida. I met Gloria Estefan and their crew.
Emilio Estefan.
Information
I
Society.
was information from Minneapolis. I mean, I was just picking these joints and meeting these people, and I just like an obscure label. I just hear it. I said, this is hot. And everything. So Sal was a regular at the club. Al, listen to this. He would bring. They weren't bringing me no records. They were bringing me the tape. They said, "Yo, here's the tape. Put on the reel. Play this sucker."
Right.
And it was the testing ground for all that freestyle music, for Big Mac Records and for
Yeah, I remember
Fever
Big Mac,
Records
yeah.
Man,
and
listen,
all that.
I was the first DJ to ever play Shannon Let the Music Play.
There you go.
Wow.
Got the test pressing at the
Oh.
Roxy. They handed it to me, and I was like, okay, that's when when you know a DJ's in tune with his crowd. So they brought me the song. I listened to all of on the other side while one song was playing. I listened to it on the other side of the other turntable. I looked back at Curtis Eugene. I was like,
It's a go.
it's a go. You got this. When I threw that on at the Roxy's, I thought these people were going to go into epileptic seizure.
Really?
That's how big that song. It went over so big, and Curtis Eugene is standing over on the side with a couple of drinks waiting for me, and he had a smile that was like from Georgia to
Like the Coney Island smiling
But
dude.
this is the difference.
Right.
They couldn't go to a Larry Levan club
That's right.
or anybody else. They would, Larry would take the record. I have to listen to it. I'm gonna see if I play it next week.
Yeah.
And all that, and it would be politics. These guys were starving.
Yeah.
They were starving
They
for
wanted-
stuff.
they wanted
So
to
when
play
they
some shit.
and their ears, okay. So now every DJ that I had, and I gotta say this, 90% of them have launched their careers through what we created with VIP and with Sure Record Pool. 90% success.
I was
But
going to say, you broke
their
a lot
ears-
of DJs out.
But
I mean, yeah.
they had the capability of picking records. And it was a communication that we had that was simple. I said, yo, check this record out. And they were like, oh, this is hot, Al. And they will play it immediately. And you couldn't keep the record companies away. They were just calling me up. I said, look, man, you
Right.
got me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I got a break. I need a break.
Man, it was crazy because like my stock had went up so much. It's like I used to go pick up my records from the pool. Matter of fact, I remember Al used to have to I used to stack records up so high in the pool because it would be like I pick them up once a month because I was on the road, I was doing this, I was doing that. But every day I'd come home, they'd be big boxes from they just ship them straight there like that, or they'll ship them to us. So
Straight to the house.
Yeah.
Him, Bobito, Stretch Armstrong,
Bobby Morales.
I mean, it was a ton of guys.
Right.
Okay, and he I'm forgetting this guy from Hank Shockley and them.
Keith or
Keith,
yeah.
Keith, all of them, they were in the pool too. So we had members in Germany, in Japan, in Italy. I was shipping records out to people. And then we opened up a pool with Felix Sama in Florida. Then we opened up a pool in Chicago because then the house music broke
Started
and
to
everything.
happen.
So I was just in tune because I was a DJ. I was playing in a club too. I was in tune with every single type of music that was coming out.
So what was the first freestyle record that you heard?
Man, that's a hard thing to. Because it wasn't, it
For
wasn't
me, it was
South.
AEIOU. That was the first
no,
one.
because you're talking about you're talking about the Latin Rascal stuff.
Yeah.
And what's this guy's name? Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin? No, Arthur Baker.
Arthur Baker.
You're talking about Arthur Baker.
Okay.
Streetwise Records.
Yeah, Streetwise
Yeah.
Records.
But see,
So before that.
a lot of that stuff that like with that Yazoo situation, all of that. This was kind of freestyle took on a life of its own because that stuff was kind of like considered new wave at its time.
Yazoo.
Yeah. That stuff.
Situation.
It wasn't until like the Noceras, the Naomis, and two Without Hats. Oh, it was one of my favorite songs that nobody even knew about. It was called "Once Is Not Enough" by Leon Love. Al put me onto this record, and this record was so hot for a record that nobody knew about. Every time to this day when I play that song, everybody's like, what is that?
Well, because you got to understand, freestyle for me, when it got introduced.
That's when you was wearing the spandex, right?
Spandex with the feather earring. I was straight 80s. But it was like, that became sort of the voice of the Latino community. You know what I'm saying? Versus like the hip hop was sort of like the black community's thing. And then all of a sudden there was this freestyle thing that happened. And then every Latino that was in the hood had this music that was accessible to them that they can do. And that's why I was kind of asking that question, because that to me is like the big bang for freestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and this is what I could say. Like Mickey Garcia had Judy Torres.
Yeah.
And Judy Torres was managed by George Vascones.
Okay.
And George Vascones was real close with me, and he would say, Al, I got this singer, and you got to listen to her. And I heard Judy, and I said, wow, she's got a voice.
Right.
And Mickey did There's No Reason to Cry. And it was a rough version, but enough for me to hear that there was something there. And I had a friend of mine named Jackie Jack. You remember Jackie Jack?
I remember Jackie Jack.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Jackie Jack he had the music bug, and we convinced Jackie Jack to open up Jackie Jack Records, and we put Judy Torres on Jackie Jack Records, and no reason to cry. Everybody was playing it.
Now, was TKA on Jackie Jack? Because TKA was on.
No, Trilogy was on.
Trilogy was on Jackie Jack.
And I gotta shout somebody else. King Richard, who was on Jackie Jack, he had a record called Thrill Me. That because of the Judy Torres fame, his kind of fizzle out, and he's out now today as Bobby Green, and got a house record called Survival, and I had some people from Chicago remix the record.
Oh, dope.
And 30 years later, he called me up and told me he said, that never happened for me. Can you make it happen? And I'm working with him right now.
That's dope. So now I'm gonna shoot it. Because this is one of those shows, ESP, Gary D, that could have gone on for 4 hours.
Yes,
We got
it
25 minutes.
Because I'm still, Al is in a whole new zone.
Yeah.
We got to get to that because that's really big.
Yeah.
What
So
he's doing now is very
I'm
powerful.
gonna zip around real quick. All right, Big Bang for Hip Hop 80s. Go. Groups or MCs or labels that you would say because they always, T.I. put out a list, right, of the top 50 rappers of all time. And it was a bullshit list. You know what I'm saying? and I think that list can only be compiled if you go by decades, right? Because you have to acknowledge everybody and what their influence was over that decade.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he didn't do that.
In their era.
In their era, because it's about your era. Melly Mel is not going to compare to Biggie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a different era, right? So I want to go with, in the 80s, era-wise, Big Bang, the rapper or group that changed rap music in the 80s.
I'm going to talk about a label.
Go ahead.
I think Enjoy Records.
Enjoy.
wow,
All right.
okay.
So I always equate that to the 70s and the 80s, but okay, the 70s. All right. And what was the record that you would say was like the bang for that?
What was that? Man, I forgot the title.
I'm
That
old.
was funk.
What, we talking about Treacherous 3 or
Yeah,
one
the
of-
Treacherous 3.
well,
Or
Treacherous
was it
had
Funk
a
Box?
nah, that was Master Don Committee.
Master Don, yeah.
For me, the '80s, it was.
Give me the
'cause
Big Bang.
It bled over, but everybody knows about the Sugar Hill Gang. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Well, that was
And
the
their
pop for what we
yeah,
have now.
that was the pop.
79.
But, I would say in the '80s. In the '80s, you had a lot of group that was just struggling. Plus, remember, we weren't getting a lot of radio play, so whatever was playing, whatever was playing on the words of the street would be the word. And like, groups like the Disco 4,
Yeah.
groups like the Fantasy 3.
Oh, man, I love that. It's Your Rock record. I love that record.
Groups like that, which the songs didn't blow up, but on the street
This
level.
dude is bugging. And I'm going to tell you why you bugging.
Why?
First of all, I'm going to tell you why. Because you, number one, with Tila Rock, was one of the big bangs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yours.
And I'm going to tell you why.
It
Because
was.
before that, right?
But I don't want to blow my whole horn,
but maybe I got to be the trumpet.
Well,
Pop, 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 pop.
somebody's blowing your horn. You've got comments online. He should be as famous as Russell Simmons. That's coming from Sabrina Bacote. you are much loved.
I'm more famous than
Much
Russell
loved.
Simmons
That's
because
right.
everybody loves
Now
Jazzy
you
J.
done made me mad, Jazzy J. I'm your man. And so-
Everybody loves Russell because he got money.
Oh, we got to be clear. First of all, you were the first artist. You and Tila Rock were the first artists on Def Jam.
That's
You
right.
started Def Jam with
That's
Rick Rubin.
right.
Let's start there. Number one. Number two, you were one of the first records that left the band thing. Because up until then, Sugar Hill, band playing, right? Enjoy. All that stuff, when Flash and them got on, they replayed 7 Minutes of Funk.
Even
right?
like the stuff with the Jazzy 5 that we were doing
Right.
in the early 80s, that was all band.
You was the drum machine. You was the initiation of the boom bap.
The boom bap.
You were the initiation of the boom bap.
But but what it was is we had to take that element that subscribed to 2 turntables and a microphone.
Right.
And that was our goal, because a little bit of the history behind It's Yours was that
I want to hear this.
the song It's Yours was basically a brainchild of myself, Rick Rubin, and Special K of the Treacherous 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I didn't. Special K was involved with this?
Yeah, okay, let me tell you the whole
Come-
thing.
come on, baby.
See, Tila Rock.
Now I'm wide open.
Tila Rock, Special K is Tila Rock's little brother.
Right, yes.
But Tila Rock, Special K couldn't do nothing because, as everybody know, the horror stories about when you signed to these labels back in the late 70s, early 80s, you was signing basically all your
life.
creative,
Yeah.
so you signing
Right,
your
yeah.
life away.
Signing your
You
life.
couldn't do nothing outside of what the label told you can do. And if they wanted to shelf you, that means not put your stuff out, they could do that to you. They can actually ruin your career. So Special K couldn't do nothing because he was still signed to Sylvia Robinson over at Sugar Hill Records.
Okay.
So what happened was me and Rick Rubin met at a club called Danceteria. He used to always stand there and watch me play all of that. Then he came up to me with a project he wanted to mix for the Sex Pistons. I helped him out with that, and we just generally became friends. and he used to love hanging out in my car. You remember the Caprice?
The Caprice, the Chevy.
Yeah,
Yep.
the disco
the sound
on-
system.
sound system on wheels. And what happened was he got in bed with Special K, who wanted to do this song but couldn't. So he said, "All right, I'm gonna let my older brother do it. You blah 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 do this, and we'll do this together." So originally, Def Jam was owned by Special K and Rick Rubin. That's the concept.
Wow.
So
Okay. I didn't know.
so
Special K
what happened
was
was Rick Rubin is the type of cat, he looks for opportunity. And now he knew Special K could take him but so far, you know what I'm saying, being part of the trade. But after me coming up for doing Beat Street and doing so much stuff in my career, plus being a pioneer, he's like, well, Jazzy J can take me to the next level. And that's what it is. That's when he hitched his wagon onto me. It's like, and at that time, being in the studio, I didn't need an excuse. Playing music in a club, being in the studio, being on the radio, that was just all I wanted to do. You didn't even have to ask me twice. And when we came up with the concept, we went in the studio, went in the Power Play studio in Queens, big up the Power Play.
Power Play.
Yeah. Laid down some Dismo beats, and then I went back and refreshed the beats. But the main thing was the turntable acted as the instrument, and that was one of the first songs that actually wasn't. I think one of the first songs I did was this Dynamite 2, Can't Stop Till It Reach the Top, and that was the first time I actually took turntables into a studio and put scratches like we used to do back in the days on the actual multi-track. So we did that, and next thing you know, we had like a little groundswell. But the record actually was out for a whole year. Because this was
yours.
We was gonna use this to launch our record label. Because Rick Rubin, he went to NYU College and he majored in video. Never went to a class, but you know, when you're rich, you can pay.
You can do that.
You could pay $60,000 tuition a year and never go to a class, and then your parents send you another check for the next year, whatever the deal is.
Right.
And we put It's Yours out. We sold them out of the trunk of our car, mostly to 99 Records. Big up to them, because they had the belief in it before anybody. Right. We couldn't get nobody on radio to play it, so it kind of laid dormant for about 8 months to a year. Then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, it just took off. That's when Arthur Baker wanted to get involved, and then we're like, okay, well, Arthur Baker's going to pay us to do some promotions, whatever, but we're going to use that to build a label.
Right.
Needless to say, later on, you know, just like this and that happened, and the other, I introduced him to Russell Simmons. We acquired LL Cool J, who is LL Cool J, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is when he was just walking in off the street, and that's when we got to deal with Columbia. And then I found out I didn't have a partner anymore, because it was just a verbal agreement between. Let me tell you, everybody that takes care of business, you make sure you sign on that dotted line.
Paperwork done.
Yeah. But that's my advice to all the youngers. Don't just look to be the next Jay-Z or whatever the deal is. Look to be that first dude that get that real check and get your money.
Right. And so you were that band. Now, I remember after that, once Def Jam kind of kicked in, and you did a record called The Cold Rock Stuff, and Russell was actually rapping on the record.
I remember that record. Yeah.
Which is where I got my name from. I was like, I'm going to be the Cold Rock Stuff. He said the Cold, and I was cutting it up. I was like, I'm the Cold Rock Stuff. You know what I'm saying? But after that, I believe that for the 80s, it was Run DMC. That really was
They were the hugest. They were the hugest between Houdini and Run DMC. And I would say crossover between the 70s and had longevity into the 80s that was still huge was Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
And Curtis Blow crossed over.
You know what? And he was the first artist to have a major record deal, because he was on Mercury.
Right.
He was on Mercury.
Whole different world for Mercury.
Right.
But they had the Gap Band and all that stuff.
That's right. Curtis was the first one on Polydor. That was Polydor Mercury. Right?
Oh, you want to hear a real? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You know the song "Another One Bites the Dust"?
Of course, Queen.
You know they bit that from Curtis Blow.
From what?
It was one of Curtis' songs.
Was it Christmas Rap?
Probably Christmas Rap. What happened? They were on the same label, and Curtis Blow had cut his, and the group came in and heard the bass line and ganked him. There's nothing Curtis could do because of the fact that his music was owned by the label, and Queen came out with another one, Bites the Dust. But another one, Bites the Dust, was taken from Curtis Blow's.
Wow.
That is crazy.
And you know what's funny about that record is that when they came out with that record, they didn't know how to promote it.
Right.
Because they said, this is Queen. This is not their typical type of music.
They rock. Yeah, they
So
rock.
at that time, I've already organized a lot of the black pools across the country. So when they came out with that, I said, man, this is a smash right here.
Right.
They said, well, we can't give it to like For the Record and all these other pools. You think? I said, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Right. This is right up our lane.
This is our thing.
Believe me, they didn't know who Queen was.
Right.
Nobody knew Queen.
Well,
Who the hell is that?
I know
but Jazzy
you-
would.
you know,
but
I'm
see,
a-
but Jazzy, one of those unique individuals. Okay, Jazzy, you ever find that tool that I need this tool to turn this around. I need this tool to flip this up. I need this tool. That's Jay.
Jazzy.
That's Jay.
Swiss Army knife.
And you're right, because Curtis was the first artist on a major label, 100%. So he's the big bang for that. And he went well into the 80s, extending from the 70s. He went well into that.
Of course, Curtis was music and art. You know that.
Oh, okay. Curtis Rose, music and art.
Gotta
Big shout out to
say
music and
that.
art, y'all. Come on.
Gotta say that.
Yeah. So, yeah, come on. We need claps,
you.
Africa.
Give us the claps.
So that's crazy. And then after that, I remember, well, LL was a fan of Run DMC. So I wouldn't give him the big bang, but as a solo artist, he was like that. And then after that, as we went later into the 80s, big bang for me, right? And I mean, it was KRS One, it was this one. But the next group to me that changed the music industry was Public Enemy in terms of changing the production, the sound, and what we were talking about.
And changing the whole look. Cats stopped talking about cocaine and getting high and chiba, and they started becoming conscious. Then out came the red black thing. So that's
Made you think.
Yeah, it made you think.
Made you think.
And then they had this production sound. And I remember I was talking to Chuck Chill Out one night. Yeah, Bomb Squad, Keith and them, right? Keith and Hank. I remember I was talking to Chuck, and they brought the record to Chuck Chill Out at Kiss FM. And they asked him to play the record. You know what I'm saying? So Chuck, Chuck don't play shit. Right? Chuck gonna fling the record out. Right? He gonna fling the record out and hit this shit. Listen, I saw Chuck throw a tape out of the car and then drive over the shit, right? So Chuck is not playing anything, but he played the that noisy ass record, which is Chuck, right? He plays that noisy ass record, and that was the big bang. When they came, because they had the album before that. They had My Uzi Weighs a Ton, and what was the other one that was on that album? Because the single, which was the what was that record called?
that wasn't Bring the Noise.
That wasn't Bring the Noise.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Nope, wasn't that either.
Just
It was,
don't make him do it again. Come on.
Oh God! Well,
Bring the Noise.
Nope, wasn't that. The first record they used the grunt from James Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the record I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Somebody gonna call and be like, "You idiots! It was this."
Right? You dope, right?
Yeah, I tell you, once as you get past a certain age, you
start forgetting shit.
Oh, I know what the song is at, and I know which album cover to put it out, but
So, right, coming like a rhino. That was the rhyme, right?
Terminator X.
But when he played that record, that was the record that changed production style and what people were rapping about.
Because everybody was listening, and they said, what the hell is that at the record?
Yeah.
What's that noise? Where did
what
they
was
get
that?
this
The
from?
multiple layers of sample on top of sample, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a menage
Of sound.
Yeah.
Right? And that was...
Rebel Without a Cause.
Right,
Yeah.
Rebel Without a
Without
Pause. Thank
pause,
you.
yeah.
Rebel, thank you.
Wow.
Rebel Without a Pause. That was the shit. Like
Christopher Barnes, thank
it
you.
was crazy, right? And that was sort of the thing that changed the music in the 80s for hip hop. Because then everybody started sampling noisy shit and stacking track upon track upon track upon track.
Well, look,
I'm trying
then
to
we
figure
got
out
to
how
go.
Christopher got that out of that noise.
Oh, yo.
Before we even go any further, you guys can spend a whole nother show on this history I would really, and it's so important, we really need to get to what Al is doing with Hip Hop Boulevard.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He's got so much on.
Yeah.
There's so much to
and,
say.
And I'm gonna
we
spend the
have
time
10
with that.
minutes left.
I'm gonna spend time with that. You know, Hannibal. If I go over, what are we talking about, baby? Like, what are we saying? Can I go over a little bit? Because this is a lot for me. All right, Al. We need to talk about Hip Hop Boulevard.
We're gonna try to
about
make this real condensed, concentrated. You know that.
Go ahead.
But give up
That
the juice,
powder
bro.
that you put water in it and it's ready to go, it's ready to drink, that kind of stuff. It's real simple. 46 years, hip hop has not even gotten what it's supposed to get. And when I say hip hop, I'm talking about the people who created it. Right. Are they millionaires? No. Are they living well? No. Are they benefiting from hip hop? No. Are they even being introduced with people who are millionaires, people who are making the money, people who are making money from hip hop in a way that they can benefit from it? No. Right. None of that stuff is happening. It's an injustice, and this is the only music where it happens. In jazz, it doesn't happen. Okay? In R&B, it doesn't happen. In dance, it doesn't happen. In rock and roll, it doesn't happen.
Right.
Only in hip hop. We are too selfish. Okay? We have that mentality of it's about me. I gotta get ahead, and I don't want nobody to bring me down, and I don't trust nobody. There's a lot of issues with hip hop. Mm-hmm. So all these things are happening now, but we have a Cardi B, we have an A Boogie, we have a Funkmaster Flex, we got a Dr. Dre, we got a 50 Cent, we got a LL, we got a Jay-Z, we got all these millionaires or better. Mm-hmm. All right. And all the pioneers who started it benefit zero.
Right.
So God had blessed me to own the name Hip Hop Boulevard.
So question with that is there an actual Hip Hop Boulevard?
Yeah, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue.
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
Okay.
Where Kool Herc did his first party.
Okay.
Now.
And we can see the sign.
Right.
Like we have
when you go to the street, you'll see it right there.
Okay.
So it was the right time in my life to be placed with this honor. It's an honor. It's also a lot of responsibility. Yep. Because I can't be manipulated, I can't be seduced, and I can't be, corrupt. Mm-hmm. I refuse to go in any of those areas because of the fact that this is my brother, Jay. Right. You're my brother. Yep. I know Kaz for a long time, Charlie Chase for a long time, Jazzy Joyce. I know all these people personally. Right. And I was always on the other side of the fence. And I felt that, you know what, let's do a change. So Hip Hop Boulevard is about making a change in a lot of people's lives and in hip hop itself, to hold accountable those people that are making the money, to say, if you're having a concert in Madison Square Garden or the Meadowlands or any arena, there is no reason why you can't have a pioneer open up for you, hit them with some loot, and say, thank you.
You're absolutely right.
There's no reason why 1% of anybody's record, if you're selling, if you're going platinum or better, that you can't do 1% and say, hey, Al, we want to give this 1% to you, and you give it to those people that you think need it.
Or you know what? Hey, listen, let's start a health benefit fund for those pioneers.
Right.
That's what I.
Yeah, and
these are things that could actually be done. You know what I'm saying? You got all of these health providers and proxies that actually we can't even get into. We can't get good help. We can't get coverage and all of that. The pioneers could set up something like that.
But I had a conversation 2 days ago with Julio Pabon, and one of the first things was health. And I said, I want to set up a meeting with a bunch of hip-hop pioneers and everybody in the hip-hop community that wants to attend the meeting. Right. So this is not a closed meeting. This ain't for specific people. This is just for people who are interested and you're in the hip-hop community. And I want to set it up with the Infinities, the Urban Health Plan, the Health First, and all the HMOs. and address this issue, because there's an issue. They completely missed this demographics. They completely underserved this demographics. And it's not only them, it's the banking, okay? It's the education. That's right. Okay, it's real estate, and the movie industry. It's everywhere, because how the hell do you do a movie called A Get Down and you don't got anybody, and you don't got
In the Get Down.
you don't got the people who made the music in the Get Down.
Yeah, you don't got the
You
Get
don't
Down
got
in the
them
Get
in there.
Down.
You're not even giving them a penny.
Yeah,
Saying let's give them something out of this thing. It stops.
Right.
So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to take the responsibility to go and make a difference. And that's what Hip Hop Boulevard is about. It's going to make a difference. Whether you like me or you don't like me, this is my choice. And I have an advisory board that I picked to keep me in check. So that way,
100%.
you know, when I go and I say, well, I want to do this. Well, you know, what are you doing?
And I'm on the advisory board, so is Jazzy.
So, and it's important because it's about time, man. Come on. Really? Soon, we're getting older. We're not going to live forever. And what's going to happen when you pass? Do you have your estate taken care of? Do you have the music that you produce and all that stuff set to go to your next generation legally, ready to go? Or is somebody going to say, well, you know, because he signed this deal with me 20, 30 years ago, I now have this music. And, you know, he didn't have no paperwork.
Al, listen, I love it. I'm glad you guys came. Al, Jazzy, ESP, Gary D, we're here in the building. And I know we've run into this out of time thing, you know what I'm saying? And we about to bounce out, and we got to do this again.
We got to do part 2. Absolutely.
We did
have
so
to do
much
part
stuff.
2.
I'm mad. I'm like, man, there's so much something to talk about.
And we didn't get into the juicy stories.
Exactly.
Because if Allerton Avenue could talk,
Oh, boy. And Blondale Avenue?
And those are stories unto themselves. But I want to thank you guys for coming on. You know what I'm saying? It was dope.
So that.
Next week, I have no idea what the show's going to be about. We're going to figure that out during the week as we normally do.
Next week,
What are we
we're
doing?
actually doing home ownership and how to be able to buy your own home, how you can set up and develop a plan for buying your home, because most people don't even understand
know
that you're paying $2,500 in rent. You could be paying that into a mortgage.
Right.
So we're going to be
you benefit for
speaking-
years,
Facts.
yes.
We're going to be speaking to Emmanuel Alfaran and Hope Azigowitz, who they're mortgage bankers and mortgage brokers. So they're going to tell us how to actually plan and execute the mortgage loans.
Excelente, pay the rente. So that's what we're going to do. And Al, God bless you and Hip Hop Boulevard. It's a great movement. And once again, we will be at the New York City Marathon this Sunday. In the Bronx. What's the address that will be
138 and Ryder Avenue. You're going to hear the music, and you're going to see Sticky out there. You're going to see Rodney C.
From the Funky 4 Plus One More.
There you go.
Yep.
You're going to see DJ Flame, that used to be the resident DJ at T Connection.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez from the Rocksteady crew. Jerry Mays from Tats crew. I mean,
We're going to be out there. It's
And
going
the
to be
whole real
crazy.
discussion crew will be there to support
there
you.
you
All
go.
right, sir.
And-
Jazzy,
Be in the house.
I'll see you.
Yes, sir. If
Let's
you
go
ain't
get
see
some
me,
sauce, boss.
You know how we do. I can't
It's
think
always a
anything
pleasure
without
having
my
lunch.
drink.
And we out.
We out.
Ow.
That was dope. It was so many places for that to go.
You gotta stop.